Welcome to Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure. Keeping you informed on faith and family entertainment.
Holly, do you like musicals? I don't mean like musical films, but actually on stage, theater musicals.
I do. I love the traditional ones that I saw, I think, growing up as a kid. Fiddler on the Roof in Oklahoma. And those greats. I love those. Yeah,
one of my favorites is Music Man.
Yes, Music Man.
I just love the music that they have in it. It's very intricate music. And of course, second to that would be Newsies. I don't know if you've seen Newsies, but man, that is a wonderful musical.
Yes.
Well, anyway, today, recently I saw a musical that was starring Chonda Pierce and John Schneider. And so I looked at it and I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. Actually, I didn't even realize John Schneider was good at stage acting.
Theatrical.
He was quite good. And in fact, now we will have the writer. Oh, I should say the playwright, because it's not a screenwriter; it's a playwright of a musical. And she's actually not just a playwright of musicals; she's got an incredible career.
Yeah, I would say it's so impressive that's like one of a dozen things that she's got an amazing career.
I agree. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the trailer first, and then we'll come back to her, okay?
Welcome to Hickory Hollow. We Amish lead a simple life, and we like it that way.
Our songs speak of love and of truth.
So then I'm adopted.
I do have my Catherine somewhere out there.
We'll find her.
I'm interested in hiring someone from your agency to play a young Amish girl.
Excuse me?
The Amish girl?
In the flesh?
Fair enough.
My whole world has changed. Everything I thought to be true isn't.
Hello, Mother.
But aren't we all looking for forgiveness we don't deserve?
Catherine Mayfield, sir.
Good job. Martha,
what was
welcome.
the name of the musical?
It is called The Confession.
Yes.
The Confession. Martha, so from what I understand, you are an award-winning author, playwright, television writer, and was the first woman staff writer for comedian Bob Hope. That's what we meant by, wow, she's got quite a career. You're a prolific playwright for Blue Gate musicals with 13 original family-friendly Broadway-style musicals playing in Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida. You know what? We want to hear all about your career.
Well, first of all, I want to say, Martha, I love seeing that trailer and that probably to me is seeing Chonda Pierce in that role. I would never have thought her doing that role. And John Schneider. So, what an amazing talent that you got that I want to see it. Makes you want to see it, just those two stars.
And they did have a lot of experience in theater. So it was fun for them to do and fun for us to have them in it because they both play the comic relief of the show. And for John Schneider, he plays the villain, but we have a lot of laughs at his expense. And then Chonda is the best friend of one of the other characters that we are endeared to throughout the musical. So she has a lot of give and take with Chonda's husband, and as far as putting him down a bit and putting him in his place. And so it's a lot of fun. And there's definitely some serious moments, some very high drama as far as the situation that is going on. And but there's a lot of laughs and has a good message throughout it that I think the audiences will, when they leave, they're going to leave with a lot of hope in whatever's going on in their own life. They can apply what the characters learned in their own life, take it home with them and humming the songs and laughing over some of the things that happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, was it an original screenplay or did you create the whole thing, or was it based on a book or something?
It was based on a trilogy of Beverly Lewis's that we took the 3 books, and I went through it and looked for places, because you can't put all 3 books on the stage, obviously. So I looked for places that were pertinent to what we were going to see, how we were going to tell the story, and then added some comic relief through those 2 characters and a few others. Mary is a character that has a lot of fun as well, and just wanted to tell this story, which it has a very universal theme, but then also a specific one as far as adoption. But any parent can feel what they are feeling, and in like I said, any situation that you're going through. It's those tough times in life that make a good story.
Music to me is very important. That's why I say I love musicals. And what I love about musicals is their music. So if the music is not that great, I don't like the musical as much. This one had really good music.
Oh, right. We have some amazing talent in that department as far as our producer, starting with him. He's a Grammy nominated producer, songwriter, and then we also have our songwriter Wally Nason, and is very talented. And there's just, like I said, you'll go home humming the tunes. If I can't, because I can't hit a note, but they're really powerful songs and fun songs. There's some fun songs in there as well.
I'll tell you what you can hit is you can hit humor. I mean, we heard you wrote for Bob Hope. You've written for some of the greats. And it's hard to believe that, at that time, I mean, were women writers at the time that you wrote for Bob Hope and these others? Were you like a novelty in the industry, or were there a lot of women writers? Because we never hear about the women writers in those days, only the men.
Well, I wasn't in the beginning, when in the 50s and 60s and those times, but the years that I did come on, we were rare. We were getting through the door, but it wasn't that common. So it was a new territory, but I had been writing in church and doing this type of writing already, and had a newspaper column. And so I was putting my comedy out there wherever I could. And I had also started in drama. So as I kept going, I started blending the two with the musicals and with other plays and whatnot, and things that I've written. I would blend not only the comedy, but some serious topics. I enjoy sharing those parts of my heart that I like to talk about and put up there and see where we can go with the story. So
now, how did you end up getting hired by Bob Hope?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It happened after a disappointment. I got real close to selling a script to Mama's Family. I had met the writer, one of the writers for the Carol Burnett Show, and then he was also a creative consultant for Mama's Family. And he liked my work and challenged me to write a spec script, which I did. And then I actually wrote 2 spec scripts. I didn't have a typewriter that was working at the time. So for a quarter, for 20 minutes, I went down to the local library and just kept feeding it all these quarters, and ended up typing 2 spec scripts. And that's what opened the door for me in that direction. And so they were going to call me in the next season. I talked to the producer, and he, said he wanted to call me in and pitch some show ideas. And then what happens in Hollywood, as we all know, sometimes the show doesn't get picked up, and that one didn't get picked up at that time. It later did, but at that time. And so I was disappointed. I'd gotten so close, and my dreams came crashing down. But then he said, Gene Parrott, the gentleman I'm talking about, he said, "Would you like to write for Bob Hope?" And I could not believe it. I had been writing for some other comedians, and so he was like, they all, I've enjoyed writing for him, but at that time, he's the top.
Okay, I have a question. Do you have a favorite joke that was one of your favorites that you wrote for Bob Hope that he told?
Oh, wow.
I know that's probably a lot. I mean, is there,
do you see these notebooks? thousands of jokes. So,
well, I mean, he was just so funny. Who didn't love watching Bob Hope? And you mentioned Carol Burnett. I just saw that they had a 90th celebration of her 90 years in career for Carol Burnett. And I interviewed her years ago. She's a precious woman. Oh my gosh, she's a sweetheart, but funny. So, I mean, you've really worked among some of the greats.
I have, and I feel so blessed to have done that because he ran in such a great crowd that just about anybody that was anybody came on the show. Mm-hmm. So you were backstage with these people. You were writing lines that they'd go on stage and say to Bob, and Bob would say back to them. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Some of the people, not only the legends, but the people that were, hot for the day, the mega stars of the day.
Like Lucille Ball. He always was doing things with Lucille Ball, I know, and others.
She was on the show. And in fact, when we had a line change that we had to do, we would take the line into his dressing room and he'd be there in the chair getting his makeup done for to go on stage. And there in the room with him would be Lucy or Milton Berle, Danny Thomas, George Burns, you name it.
Wow.
They'd be sitting there waiting for the line that you're going to give them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was incredible. I'm in the middle of writing my memoirs right now, so I'm so excited to be telling these stories.
A lot of pressure too. You know, it's funny because when I watch the St. Jude's commercials on TV, and they always talk about St. Jude, and I realize people have no idea that Danny Thomas started that, and they don't even know who Danny Thomas is. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of sad that those greats from those days aren't remembered more today. Because I mean, I remember growing up watching all of them, and that was classic comedy and classic humor at that time. It really was.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and we've got to, our generation has to do everything we can to keep that out there so that they do realize who these people were. And that, like the last book I just wrote with Bob's daughter, Linda, and we told his World War II, the story of how he became so beloved by the GIs and why he loved them so much. And it's their own letters back and forth. And it's power. It's just those letters. Yeah. The story of him with the GIs is so powerful.
Now, there's another legend that I know you worked for and wrote for, and she had something very interesting to say about you. Let's take a look.
Well, you see, you're no better than your writers. Bob Hope will tell you that. He had 8. I had 1, Martha Bolton. And she writes her tail off. This woman never stops writing. She's got an endless inkwell of funniness, funny stories, and she puts out books when she isn't writing for a person. She's writing a funny book after book after book. Just flows out of her. That's a good writer.
Wow.
Phyllis Diller. Oh, I can't believe it. What a compliment.
Yeah. Oh, she was so good at compliments. Oh, the notes that I had, the personalized notes that I have from her that I'm putting in the memoirs, but she was so good at that, at just giving you an encouraging word all the time, just constantly. She was a wonderful, wonderful person.
You know, in a day and age of wokeism and how they're attacking comedy and really removing anything funny almost anymore because it's, going to be canceled or whatever, it's kind of, I wish we could. I'm glad you're talking about reviving and having us remember the comedy of those days, because they talked about it, just life. It was funny. They didn't have to cut anyone down except for Don Rickles, but he was always funny. But I mean, it was just simple things about themselves, but it was funny. I wish that we could remember those comics more and kind of go back to that kind of comedy because, no matter what the woke say, it was hilarious. And that's what people grew up loving and watching on TV and appreciating on all those comics.
Yes,
absolutely.
There were no
and one of the things, no. And one of the things that they did is when they would talk about, they're doing a roast, a comedy roast, Dean Martin roast or whatever. They would say jokes, but it came from a place of high respect and love.
Yes.
And the roast always ended by them sharing how much they respected this person. And today, it's like there's no, sometimes there's no connection with the person that's talking to the person they're quote unquote honoring. There's just not that, it doesn't come across that way, at least.
No.
That they really love and honor them.
No.
So I don't know that. There's a
and it's vulgar too. There's vulgarity, and it's almost a shock thing.
It's a shock thing, If they can shock them, then they get a nervous laugh, and that's okay for them. They think that's the bar, is to get a nervous laugh, and then you've got your laugh. And the legends, they got a laugh, a real laugh, a belly laugh. They'd have people falling over laughing. And it was just, it felt good. It felt good. So,
also, you said you worked with, Phyllis Diller and Bob Hope, but who was another one that was very famous? I'll let you tell about it, that you worked with.
Joan Rivers.
Yes.
Yes. She did a lot of the same kind of humor that Phyllis did, as far as housekeeping and aging. And I was in my 20s when I probably 27, 28 when I was writing for them. So I had to pretend, to write the aging jokes. I don't have to pretend anymore, but I had to pretend what that would have felt like. But it was just fun. And when she would buy a joke, it would come in the mailbox. And it would be in a pink envelope with your contract, and you had to sign the contract, and then she'd mail the check. But it was this pink envelope. So in the mail, whatever it was, junk mail, bills, whatever, that pink envelope, you knew it was Joan Rivers, and it was just so cool. And Phyllis had cool envelopes as well. So she would always have little stamps on it, like Phyllis Diller is a concert pianist, and it did
you save those? I didn't even think about that.
I saved everything. I saved everything. Yes, it's all going in the book, because I'm so thrilled to be able to tell all this about them, because they're just such wonderful people and groundbreaking in so much of history.
What's the name of the book that you're writing? What is the name of the book, and when will it come out?
Well, I am going back and forth with titles right now, so I'm not totally positive on what the name's going to be yet. But I'm hoping I'm almost done. I'm at the editing stage where I'm having to pull things back, but I've got like 450 pages.
Wow.
So I obviously that's too much, but I have to start being selective. But man, I'm having a lot of fun.
Wow.
Wow.
I understand you've written about 88 books. I don't know.
Yes.
What do you do in your spare second? Now, how difficult was it for you to go from writing a book to adapting? Was there a learning curve to that?
Well, that's kind of what we did a lot with on the Hope Show. We would sometimes do what we would call book shows, and it would be about some big topic, and we'd do the whole hour would be a takeoff on that. So I was used to going through things and picking out what would look good up on stage or what we needed to tell. So that helped a lot. But the difference is where I'm writing for one voice and two or three or four that's in a sketch, you're writing for like 9 characters or 10 characters, and sometimes the actor plays 2 or 3 characters. So you're writing for all these characters, and then when you're working on it, sometimes you're working on the next one that's coming down the pike. So you've got all of those characters. So you have 20, 30 characters and their voices that you have to keep track of and know that, okay, this sounds like that person and that sounds like that person. So that's a little bit of the difference. But it's all writing, and it's all making the words. I love to play with words. In fact, I had Phyllis Diller said a great line once, that when she and Bob would get together, she said it was like two little kids playing in a sandbox of words.
Wow.
Isn't that a great quote?
Yes.
I love that.
That is a great quote.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like is that you're just playing with words and putting them together, putting them in maybe, especially in a joke, if you get one too many words, or then you throw the rhythm off.
Yes. Yes.
If you're not clear and you don't have enough words, then the clarity is affected. So it's a balance. You need the balance. And sometimes that's, a lot of times a comedian will rewrite the joke after they come home. Well, what's wrong? Why isn't it playing? And a lot of times it's just 2 or 3 words are the problem, or not enough words. So you just play around with it. And in writing for each of them, and then also in writing for Hope, because he had such a volume of material, we wrote so many jokes. And you really got it. It was a great training ground, because you had to write fast. He'd be getting ready to walk on stage, and you'd get a call that something was going on in that town. Give me some jokes on this. And he's got 2 seconds to be on stage.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine that pressure. I really, that kind of pressure to be quick, especially if your mind is, not alert or sharp, and you're kind of fuzzy and you're trying to think of stuff. I can't imagine that pressure. I want to ask you a couple of questions. These are quick answers if you can, or, just kind of ask you a few questions. Okay. For your books that you've written, what is one of your favorite family or kid-friendly books that you would suggest for parents, for teens, or for family?
Well, for family, wow. Okay.
Or 1 or 2 topics.
Devotionals for family. The teenagers tell me they really love them. They're one of the titles is Never Ask Delilah for a Trim. So that's I have this whole series, of devotionals for kids. For older teenagers, Josiah for President would be my favorite. My first novel, but I really loved that. It just poured out of me. It was one of those books that you just sit down and just write.
Josiah for President. Okay, and for adults, or for women, or for men, if they want a humorous book, what would one of your books be for them?
Oh, Didn't My Skin Used to Fit?
I'm writing these down because I'm going to look them up. Didn't my skin used to fit?
Yeah.
I love these. I love those. And people can find these. Where do you have a website, or where can they get them? Amazon or?
Yeah, Amazon. They're all on Amazon, or if you just put down my name, it'll come up, and there's a bunch of them listed on the author's page of Amazon. But any book, you could probably get someone to order it. They're all out there. I keep finding old ones that I've written years ago, and I go, oh, that's still around, So.
I recently asked an actor, director, producer, writer. That's it. Writer, actor, director. And I said, well, what do you like doing best, acting or writing or directing? And his answer was, that's like asking me which one of my kids I love the most. So I'm glad you were able to answer that for Holly today.
I know. Well, sometimes, you've done so much, but some of them are more favorites than others, or you can think, well, this is more kid-friendly, or for books and things, as far as that goes. And then the musical, that's going to be something that a lot of people can see. And it says Amish, so I think that's even more funny that, you have a play on that with Chonda Pierce and John Schneider. Did you get to meet John and Chonda?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Well, I've known Chonda for years, and I've done some writing for her. And
have you? Oh, she's funny. Okay, well, working with John, I've interviewed him before and done, and in fact, it was on set on a film that he did. He is so sweet and so charming and such a nice man. Yeah. What was your experience with him?
Absolutely, that. And it was he has a great sense of humor. What he put into this role was exactly what I pictured. He did a phenomenal job, and is very talented musically and dancing and everything. He he pulled it off, and he was great.
Yes, when I really just became more of a fan of his was when he was on Dancing with the Stars, because he was not the best of the dancers, but he was actually really good.
Right. And Chonda was great too, and especially for the ones who saw it live. Some of the outtakes are just hilarious, as far as when a mistake was made or something, and just the ad libs. So we just had a great time filming it, and we're so excited that not only is everybody going to be able to see it now and know what we've been doing, but they're going to feel like they're there at the musical. It has that feel like you're there in the audience.
Great. So
the name of the musical?
It's The Confession.
The name of the musical is
The Confession Musical. Yeah.
Right.
And where can people get a hold of or see that?
Well, it's coming out on Up TV, and then later I'm sure it'll be exactly. Yeah.
And how can people follow you?
Well, they can go to marthabolton.com.
There you go.
Or I have a Facebook page as well, Martha Bolton Official. And then they also have, any information on it, go to confessionmusicalmovie.com, and it's got all the information that they need, and it's updated regularly as far as where they can be seeing this.
Terrific.
Martha, just a real quick question. Are you writing for anyone today? Are you writing any jokes or comedy for any comedian today?
Well, I still get calls from different ones once in a while, as far as some of the ones that are, they need something for a particular topic. And so I do that kind of thing on the side, but I'm in the middle of writing 3 books, besides writing my memoirs, and then 2 other books, and then the musicals. And I stay busy. I get up really early in the morning, about 3:00 usually, and start my day writing. And
oh my gosh!
Well,
but I love it. I love what I do. Oh man!
Well, thank you for being with us today. We didn't make you get up at 3 a.m. for this because I wasn't going to get up at 3 a.m. But I do appreciate you taking time to come on with us. All right.
I'm Andrew Walkington, and I'm from the United Kingdom, and I am a filmmaker, the managing director and founder of the Cooperative British Youth Film Academy, former head of television production at United Christian Broadcasters, and a passionate Christian filmmaker. And you are watching Faith on Film.
Holly, that's it for today.
That's it for today.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
See you next week.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.